And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Yes, sir. Hello to you. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending where you may be. Good night. And that's the end of the show. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. Good morning and afternoon, evening to everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we never know. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. My name is Christian, and that is Steve, Whiskey 7 United Delta India. I hope everybody had a reasonably good personal week. Another 2021 is beginning to shape up a lot like 2020 left off. I saw an interesting meme where it was a scary clown introducing another scary clown. You know, like you're new on the job here of 2021. But I hope we all made it. And we're doing okay. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about Winter Field Day and operating in the cold. So we're going to be talking to a guest here in just a few minutes. I want to let you know, if you're just finding us on YouTube, please subscribe if you like what you see or everything sounds good to you. Subscribe and click the notification bell. This is a ham radio talk show. We meet here every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, and it lives on the YouTube channel, and everybody is welcome here. We keep all the controversial topics away, and we focus on the things that bring us together. In this case, radio and all the things adjacent to it. And Steve, we have a guest here. I want to introduce you to Ken. He's November 8 Kilo Charlie, and he's with Winter Field Day. So let's bring him up and have a conversation with Ken. Good morning, sir. I really appreciate you joining us this morning.
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on. Is my audio fine?
Yeah, your audio sounds fine. And if it wasn't, I would just adjust it just for you. So you're okay. We were talking last night, Steve. This is how things happen. I'm part of the Winter Field Day page. I think I fat fingered myself out of there at some point. I went back and I was like, what the heck? And rejoined because I believe in it. We all enjoy portable operations and that sort of thing. So on Facebook, there's an active group there as well for Winter Field Day, which Ken is a part. And so we were communicating back and forth last night, like for an invitation. Hey, you want to come on the show? And I'm sure he was thinking, oh, yeah, sometime that would be nice. I'm like, no, tomorrow morning, like in 6 hours, these kinds of things. But I thank you for your flexibility. And I wanted to talk about it because, it's the 30th and the 31st. It's the last full weekend in January with an emphasis, or at least an underlying emphasis, on emergency communications, because we know things don't stop. It's not an always ideal situation when these things arise. Ken, will you speak a little bit about Winter Field Day and maybe some of the background of where it comes from?
All right. What I can tell a little bit of history first. Winter Field Day started around 2007. It was sponsored by a group called SPAR, which stood for the Society of Amateur Radio. And they started it up, and it ran fairly smoothly. It wasn't a very big deal. It wasn't. It was gaining popularity. But just as it seemed to be gaining popularity, the four guys who ran it became more elderly and more ill. And as that happened, there was, I think, at the point where they stopped scoring the contest, there was only two of them left that were able to do much. So when that happened, there was a group of guys who stepped in and tried to get Winter Field Day, the original Winter Field Day, from SPAR, and take over the reins to keep it going. And those guys, they didn't include me. Those guys were Tom Phelps, W8WFD from Ohio, Bill Nangle, V3FI from Ontario, Eric McCord, WX4ET from Tennessee, Dave Tabbitt, W3DET from North Carolina. And then I came along later sort of as an afterthought when they started up a Facebook page. And I thought I could help them because at the time I was running a couple other Facebook groups and had a little bit of experience doing that. But the original group SPAR, they didn't start it with necessarily an emergency communications bent, but it was supposed to be somewhat similar to Summer Field Day, in that the object is to get you out of your comfort zone, get out of your shack where everything's set up, be able to get your stuff, carry it off somewhere and set up in a field or set up in your car or set up at your cottage, just to get out and be able to do that, to make sure that you could pick up your stuff and go somewhere if you had to use it for communications. So that was where Winter Field Day took it pretty much the same way. And we've held that through in that we do all modes, which is somewhat similar to Summer Field Day, but not a lot of other contests. All modes, all bands except the work bands. And it's basically, like I said, sort of an emergency communications practice, I guess be the best way to put it. But in 2015, the guys in SPAR didn't score the contest, and these other fellas stepped in and took over the reins and then scored that year's contest and then took over. I came into the picture, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago when they started a Facebook page that only had 100 or so members on it, didn't have very many people on it. And I promised them that I would grow the page, and we're, I think, just shy of 3,000 members now on the Facebook group. So that's our main way of getting out. We also have a Winter Field Day website where much of the same information is available about the contest, the rules, and all that kind of stuff. And we're listed on most of the contest calendars, too, that I'm aware of.
So let's talk about what the approach is. Now, it sounds great. Not everybody's really willing to go out in the winter. And then we've got diehards that are out activating parks, and they're doing these sorts of activations. What percentage of the folks that you see that are participating are actually going out there to do it? Is it inviting to those who may want to sit at home or may not be able to get out this year? How does that sort of operating between the operators work?
I can't really give you numbers as to a percentage of people that operate from outdoors or from indoors. I know we have a lot of participants that actually operate from what we call a home station, which would be at your base station, like what you see behind me here. So it's, antennas already set up, rigs already plugged in, you plugged into a wall outlet. But one of the differences in our scoring scenario for Winter Field Day is we offer bonus points. One of them is 1,500 points for operating an outdoors station. The outdoors doesn't mean that you have to be outside in -20 weather getting frostbite. We don't encourage anybody to get frostbite or heat stroke down in Arizona. So we make allowances for operator comfort. So if you're outside in a tent, you're still outside, even if you have a heater going inside. If you're out in an uninsulated garage, that's outside. You can have a torpedo heater in there to keep you warm. But it's worth 1,500 points to operate somewhere else other than at your regular shack. It's also extra points if you're operating remotely versus at home. So that's more points. There's just a lot of different things. There's extra points for making a satellite contact. So Winter Field Day just counts them all as a contact. But not Winter Field Day, Summer Field Day counts them all just as a contact. But we give different points. There's multipliers for using more bands. If you only work one band, you don't get any multipliers. One band and one mode. If you work one band and 3 modes, that's 3 multipliers right there. So
very nice.
We kind of encourage using as many different bands as possible and as many different modes as you can try to get familiar with all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year, we started to be inundated with a pandemic. Before that, in previous Winter Field Days, did you find that people would get together in small groups like Field Day would work? Was it club oriented, or was it more of an individual and not specific numbers? Or did you just have a mix of that?
A mix, just like Summer Field Day. There's a lot of home stations. What are they? One Delta, I think, in Summerfield Day. There's a lot of One Delta summer stations. In Winterfield Day, there's a lot of one home stations, which are people operating from their home.
Mm-hmm.
But we get a lot of clubs that participate. Well, I'm sure you know how many participate in Summerfield Day because it's a big social event in most clubs, as well as a fun event. Winterfield Day is in the middle of a season where there's not a lot going on for clubs to do other than club meetings. So it's a big way to get out and have another social event another time of the year. My club, Usika, does these shirts for our club every year. We've had a shirt for Winterfield Day. We've had as many as 55 people show up for Winterfield Day at a site that's 90 miles away from where most of us live.
Wow.
Yeah, we operate at a CYO camp that's up on Lake Huron. So always a lot of fun. And of course, that involves, just like field day, there's usually lots of food and stuff like that going on. So it attracts more hams.
Now, with the leadership there this time around, dealing with restrictions and getting together and those sorts of things, what sort of approach did you guys have to take in putting not rules together, but did you have to augment your current way?
Our rules are pretty much unchanged from previous years. The big difference we made was we made essentially the same thing that ARRL did for this last field day, where if you want to work from home and you don't want to get together as a group on account of the pandemic, you can choose to have your score individually scored and attributed to a club by filling in the club line on the Cabrillo form. So this year we're going to probably see a whole lot more people operating from home. A lot of those will probably be attributing their scores to a club. As a matter of fact, I had it's a rather large international club out of Long Island. I think it's the Long Island DX Club or something like that. And they want to be able to attribute their scores. And I told them how to do it. So we'll probably be seeing quite a few logs from them. And we do get, this is not a U.S. stroke Canada contest. It's worldwide. We have one fella, OH8, I can't remember the suffix to his call, named Julian, who operates from a tent with a little stove in it somewhere in Finland.
Yeah, that's Julian, he also has a YouTube channel. He's Oscar Hotel 8 Sierra Tango November, and every day is Winterfield Day for Julian.
For Julian, yes, it is.
So, what are some of the considerations that people should think about? Maybe you're new here. Of course, we want to protect our skin. We want to be wise when we're working outside. In terms of operating, what are some of the things to think about in terms of maybe battery power, packing that you've learned over the years?
Well, the last couple of years being what they've been with propagation not being so hot, running QRP really wasn't a lot of an option, at least for our club, because you had a lot of people, especially newer people who come up. Running QRP means you sit for a long time calling CQ and not getting a whole lot of answers. So with propagation being what it was, we've been running 100 watts. That means having a lot of batteries extra available. Now, you can run off a generator. That counts. By the way, battery power and generator power, just like Summerfield Day, we offer bonus points for that if you're running on anything other than commercial power. So, regardless of how you want to come up with power, as long as it's not plugging into the wall, you're getting extra points for it. But when we go out as a group, we don't run because of the location we were at. We didn't want to take a chance with generators and the fire possibilities. So we ran batteries, and that meant a lot of batteries. I have batteries in my RV and batteries in my boat. They all went to Winterfield Day, and they'd all be charged and ready before we went. So, you got to get through 24 hours of calling CQ. And if you've done a contest, the fastest way to make points is to get on the air and call CQ, not dial around looking for contacts. Just call CQ and let them come to you.
Is there any attempt that we have a few more minutes here before we let you go? Now, this is separate from the ARRL's field day event, right?
Right.
So
So we're
is
not
there-
ARRL affiliated.
Are you looking for that affiliation? Would that help you or this sort of contest or event?
We approached them a number of years back about that, and they didn't seem terribly interested. We weren't quite as maybe a popular contest at the time. They didn't seem to be terribly interested, but I think that's because if you look at the calendar year, I think they do 1 or 2 contests a month from the ARRL, and they didn't want it to be any kind of a conflict, I think. But we're fine. We've been fine running it on our own. It's only
Sure.
5 guys that run the whole show. So with a couple of other fellows that are kind of on the sidelines helping us out. But we've been doing pretty good on our own.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. And there's new leadership there, so there may be a new opportunity. Steve, did you have any questions for Ken or any thoughts on getting out and winter portable?
Oh, it's getting out on winter portable. If you do get out, remember, stay hydrated. It's even though you don't think about it. In the summertime, it's like, yeah, stay hydrated, stay hydrated. The same thing happens in the wintertime, especially when you're out because the humidity's down. You're using a lot of body heat. You're losing it if you're depending on how you're covered. This is for if you're outside, out away from your home station. But no, this is great. And then a lot of batteries because battery efficiency goes way down because of temperature. So yeah, you can get a set. I would imagine your RV batteries would be just fine for summer field day, and but in the winter field day, you got to double it up because it's just battery efficiency just goes way down. But no, it's great. I was looking at the website the other day and just probably participating from home here. But I like what you're doing. I remember when it first started up and it was like, there was people like, what is this thing? But I think it's great. Personally, I'd say stay away from the ARRL, getting them involved in it. Not in a bad way. You guys are doing a great job as it is, the 5 of you, and just keep it. It's organic. It's this is an organic operating event, contest, or whatever. But this is great, and I think the league's plate is full as far as dealing with the contests and this and that. And we need diversity. We have CQ magazine that runs a bunch of contests. We got the league. And it's always so nice to have individual, organic, just contests or operating events that are just run by 5 or 6 guys, which is just, it's generic. It's great. I love it. And you guys are doing a great job.
Send my best to the team there, Ken. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. What were you going to say?
We're actually thinking of offering certificates or plaques and stuff for different levels of operator, first, second, third, that sort of thing. We really haven't come to a decision about that yet, but we do post results. Mm-hmm. Usually the results are posted within a month or 2 of the shutdown date for logs. And if I remember correctly, the shutdown date for logs is March 1st. So,
well, good luck to you. This is January the 30th and the 31st. It's Winterfield Day. I put the link to the website in the chat there, so you can go and check it out. They're also on Facebook. A lot of good information there about working portable. And my thanks to you, Ken. I know this was a spur of the moment. I really appreciate you getting up there in Paradise where you live. November 8, Kilo Charlie. Good luck. Stay safe out there, and we'll look forward to following your progress on Facebook.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve and Christian. And
thank you, Ken.
My pleasure to be on.
Pleasure to meet you today.
Check them out. Care. 73. The ICOM 705 is your perfect QRP companion as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers. But it's in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo or just over 2 pounds. With RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It's got that large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. And the perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack. It's the LC192. It has a special compartment for the IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios. Now, this is the time where we bring two stories to the table, and we talk about them with our friend Karen and Paul, KD2GUT and Paul, WD9GCO. Welcome to you both. I hope everything's going well.
Morning.
Interesting first week in the world, but whoa, I'm glad to see everybody that we can see. We got two stories on the table today, and we'll start with you, Karen. What'd you find?
Okay, we're starting the week with an ambitious proposal from the FCC. At first I thought, wow, this is new, but it isn't so new. A little digging told me the FCC is actually going to roll the clock back a bit, or the calendar. They're looking to explore adding VECs. VECs are the organizations that coordinate the testing process between the VEs and the actual candidates. They hopefully simplify the process. We have 14 of them in the US. And this is a system that was established in the 80s. A lot of you old timers will remember having to find an FCC building and go down there and take the exam. Well, this now brings it to you. What the FCC is looking to do is add more VECs. This will make the exams, which of course now our licenses are going to cost us $35. So I just want to make note of that without comment, but they're looking to make the licensing process more accessible with the addition of as many as 5 new VECs. VECs, interestingly enough, this past summer, all VECs, and not just a select few, were given the capability to test remotely, which is very nice, of course, in these pandemic times. And God knows we need more hams on the air right now to help with this terrible isolation of lockdown. So everyone listening and watching, and everybody else who isn't, but should be, needs to make a comment if you have a feeling one way or the other about adding VECs. I don't know what the cost would be. There's been no mention of that on the website, but it seems to me what the FCC is trying to do, the spirit of this proposal, is to make testing in any form, remote or otherwise, more accessible to more candidates who wish to sit for the exam.
Paul, what do you make of this?
If it helps, because I'm a VE, and we have not been able to hold exams since our last exam was last February, because we hold ours in the local library, and they've closed down the conference rooms when everything started to go sideways. And if this expands the number of people on the back end that will start to allow virtual exams and online exams, that'll be a good thing, because honestly, after talking to people at my local library, I don't see those conference rooms opening back up until the middle of the year. So, I mean, it's going to be a year and a half since our group has been able to hold exams. So, I mean, if this is going to help spread the workload out and help make more things possible, I'm for it. Because now to make sure the VECs are not us.
Right.
The VECs are who we report to. When we collect all our exam papers at the end of the day and the fees and that, we send them off to the VEC, like the ARRL or the W5YI group or whatever. So if we have more groups like that who can coordinate more VEs, I think that'll smooth the process out and really make it more accessible. I agree, for more hams wanting to either test in new or upgrade.
Karen, do you think this is going to complicate things with, say, paperwork early on before it gets better?
No, I think, first of all, I had mentioned earlier that the FCC appears to be rolling back the clock or the calendar, and I didn't explain what I meant by that. The FCC originally, when VECs were created, my understanding is there were 28 of them originally. Initially, there were 28. Now, of course, there's one for each of the 13 regions plus a sort of freestanding one. I don't think it will complicate things if it is done in an organized manner, the big if. But there's plenty of time to do that and to think it through. I agree with Paul. It is a good thing. It makes it more accessible.
I mean, and are they going to add more? I mean, are we also talking more separate organizations? Or are they going to add more capacity at the league? And, we don't know exactly how this is going to be structured yet. So,
well, this is called the Two Stories feature. And of course, if you're seeing this, you're welcome to comment in post. You can add your comments in the chat at the moment. You can send your comments later on. Story number 2, Paul, what did you find that was also interesting?
Well, the FCC has filed charges against a company that's selling radio-controlled remote devices for deer decoys. It allows you to make sounds and do stuff away, like you're hiding up in your blind. And they're saying that these things were type accepted and exceeded the power and the range for a device of that type and could potentially cause interference to radios in the area. So, I mean, it's nice to see. It's $55,000 that they're being hit with. Jeez. So having personally experienced something like that, I mean, it's good to see. Several years back, near late October, all of a sudden, I got this repeating pattern of noise on HF, broadband, from 160 all the way up through 10. And I started sniffing around my house thinking, what the heck is this? And I couldn't find it. So I finally took my iPhone and I just took a video of the computer, of the radio so I could post it somewhere and say, does anybody recognize what this noise was? And then I had to go out to the grocery store. So I got in my car. It was dark. I sat down in my car. I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw the guy across the street behind me had put up this giant 13, 14 foot high inflatable Jack Skellington thing that had flashing lights in it. And I'm watching that, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to recognize the pattern of the flashing lights. And I pulled out my phone, and I started that video in time with the lights. Sure enough, it's the electronic circuit inside that thing was putting out broadband noise all the way through the neighborhood. And I went and I talked to him, and he clearly didn't care. But I asked if I could put some ferrites on the power cord and stuff, and that did nothing. Yeah. So it's the cheap flasher circuit for the LEDs inside this balloon and the 13 feet of wire that goes up through it that light all the LEDs. It turned it into an antenna. And there was absolutely nothing I could do because he wasn't going to let me take this thing apart and try to troubleshoot his electronics because he didn't care. And I explained to him, I said, you realize that anybody in this neighborhood with a radio listening to a ball game or whatever, and this guy would start this thing in the middle of October and leave it up almost to Christmas. So for like a month and a half, I had no HF as soon as the sun went down. So I'm glad stuff like this happens because, there's consequences. Things like that get through the market, and it wiped out radio for an entire neighborhood for a block and a half, for a month and a half.
Hate to make light of it, but I think, Paul, when we told him we have friends in Philadelphia and New Jersey, things really cleared up there with your neighbor's interference. Well, Karen,
he did eventually move. Oh, by the way, I refer to him as Spark Gap Skellington, so I'm glad he moved.
Karen, take us home on this.
Yeah, nobody likes RFI, least of all us. I keep thinking that, oh my God, it's turnabout is fair play, I guess. Back in the day, it was the radio operators who interfered on 6 meters, I believe, with Channel 2. And now we're the victims. It seems like we're trying to get our signal out and everybody's interfering with us. Is it fair? No. Is it funny? Well, only for a split second. It is kind of funny how the world turns the way it does. I microwave something, and for whatever reason, it knocks my Google Nest playing Sirius XM, gets interrupted. That's running off of Wi-Fi. What's that all about? Well, it does it consistently enough that I have to figure there's something going on that's either not in compliance or too close. I haven't really explored it, but the more we go wireless, the more we're going to be seeing this. At least the wildlife out there, if they had some HTs with them, would know that something was going on and they could scatter. So as a wildlife advocate, I appreciate the fact that there's RFI and the deer can pretty much alert one another, maybe set up some kind of an emergency net and scatter so nobody shoots them.
They all wear those little camouflage colored bang UV5s.
There you go. Or they're camouflaged to look like other hunters.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Interesting points always. And thank you to Karen, KD2GUT, and Paul, WD9GCO. Please leave your comments in the chat and in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. And until next week, guys, 73 will catch up with you. Thanks for doing it.
You're welcome.
See you later. Take care.
73.
73.
Friends, if you find value in the show and in the 100 Watts in a Wire community, consider becoming a sustaining member. When you donate $25, you're eligible to receive discounts from participating companies. It's a win-win-win. The show gets your support, you receive discounts, and the companies can earn your business. Become a member now and receive 6 free issues of both CQ Magazine and Nuts and Bolts. Support the content you enjoy and get a deal on the gear you need. Visit 100wattsinawire.com to learn more. Okie dokie, and welcome back. Well, Steve, we've covered several different things today. We're talking a little bit. We've got mutual conversations happening. Of course, we always have interesting news coming out of Amateur Radio Newsline and my colleagues over there. This week, we've got some interference coming from some strange little deer mechanisms. We've got, what do you make of the news this week?
Oh, that's the first I've heard about the manufacturer or this company getting fined
55 G's. Can you imagine? Yeah. That'll straighten you up.
Oh yeah, that's good. I mean, it's maybe they'll fly right and stuff like that. But as far as Karen's when the microwave goes on and she loses her Wi-Fi, yeah, microwave run. I think a microwave oven runs in the 2 gig range, and 2.3 is coming off the top of my head, but don't quote me on it. And yeah, we have the same issue as if I'm out in the kitchen area and the microwave oven goes, well, there goes my Wi-Fi link, and we're just kind of there. It's just proximity. So look at that. Change the 5.8 or something, Karen, and that should go a little better. But and it's ironic is that, yeah, we were causing interference to channel 2 from if you operated on 10 meters or 6 meters, and now it's the other way around. We're getting our signal out. We just can't hear anybody because we're getting hammered by all this RFI. And wow, it's Paul's neighbor there. And yeah, I noticed a big drop in 75 meters here just the other day. Once everyone started turning off their LED Christmas lights on their houses, the noise floor went down. So
yeah, the other conversation. Well, I remember Paul having this problem, and he was posting in the 100 Watts and Wire Facebook group because he was looking for solutions. And really, the person had these decorations up way too long. I mean, October to January, snowman, inflatable. Come on. I mean, yeah, I'm totally all on board with to each their own. But come on, man, a 25-foot snowman. That's not ideal. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I didn't call some friends in from Philly, but his neighbor did move and disappeared from Paul's life. And sometimes that's what that's what happens. But
so who's going to come in next October?
Some doofus will come in next to Paul soon. But you know what? Paul became the grand poobah of the HOA. So he figured out a way. I don't know if that would be a problem, but all of a sudden now he's got the big pants.
And then the other issue is that the consumer that buys this product doesn't know. And
true.
and that's the problem. It comes down to is that we have manufacturers of products that say, yeah, we are meeting Part 15 compliance, but there is no, it's just a statement, and the FCC doesn't have the time and to certify everything because there's just too much out there, and they don't have the time to enforce it. It's a catch-22.
Yeah, and it's hard to sometimes talk to your neighbors depending on where you live. I grew up in the city. We lived in Baltimore in row homes, and there was noise, and people would bang on the walls, and there was always some sort of territorial pissing, if you will, going on, and it could happen when you're out in the burbs too. It's sometimes hard to have these conversations because they think instantly that you don't approve of the 25-foot snowman who sings, Kumbaya or whatever it does for all hours of the day. So it is a complicated situation with approaching, but I'm sure he went to the neighbor with I'm sure this is a beautiful structure. It's wonderful. Can I, and talk about it. Those conversations are hard to kind of muster up with neighbors who have no interest or care. It's like, I don't care what you do with your radio. I don't bother you. Leave me to my Santa Claus or my snowman.
Snowman or Skeletor or whatever it is.
Yeah, it just sounds weird. So, but 50 G's will sort you out. Our other conversation going today is about Winter Field Day. And it was nice of Ken to stop by.
Oh, that was great.
And tell us a little bit about that. And I really put him on the spot, too. He's not the only one I kind of put on the spot on a late after. But we'll get to that in a minute. We'll take a break here in a few minutes, and we're going to go outside. We have a friend who is out there in the field right now, activating in the cold temperatures, and I believe scouting for Winter Field Day. So nice. We'll take a break here, and we've got a lot of questions to get to. Don't worry, Steve and I will put your questions in the queue no matter what happens. But we're going to go out in the field. We're going to pause here and go out in the field. When we come back, special guest operator from the field in the cold next. Main Trading Company is your one-stop ham radio shop in Paris, Texas. Find us on the web at mtcradio.com. We've been in business for 12 years. We take trades and love to help fellow hams trade up to a newer rig. Watch our used gear page on the web for great deals on older and even like-new equipment. Main Trading is a mom-and-pop business owned by Richard and Christine Lenore. We hope you'll hop on the web and give us a try, or give us a call at 903-737-0773. We're here hoping to earn your business with good old-fashioned friendly service. If you're in Northeast Texas, stop in and see us at 2707 Lamar Avenue. Main Trading Company, Surplus Electronics, and Ham Radio. If you want to learn programming for Arduino so you can get your electronics project off the ground, then Programming Electronics Academy is the place to be. A membership gives you full access to a library of detailed video courses, including the Arduino course for absolute beginners. PEA has video courses designed for beginners that don't assume you already have a PhD in software design. If you're tired of just cutting and pasting code, visit programmingelectronics.com/100 watts.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.